Maritime Museum's woke bust berates Nelson and praises migrants. Now I know what you're thinking, surely it's not that on the nose. The headline's just trying to generate clickbait, isn't it? They're not going to be as in your face as to slam Nelson and praise migrants. Surely they're not going to do that, are they? A statue of a godlike protector of all migrants has been placed next to the bust of Lord Nelson, and the invented deity berates the military leader in a new audio-visual display. Yeah, it is that on your nose. And we knew it was coming. Our foes, the authoritarian woke loopy left, it's its own thing really, it consumed the loopy left. Now it's an out-of-control behemoth ruining everything from the arts and music and entertainment to the economy, the environment. Yes, the environment, do some research, and everything else. So now they're poisoning the memories and the museums themselves, which once collected together all of our history and tradition for your perusal. We're going to walk through the story, and I'm going to walk you through the reasons why these people do nothing but lie, and why you should resist them with every fibre of your being. And also why I'm going to be going to the Maritime Museum next time I go home, and I will personally take this up with whichever gibbering, brain-dead ideologue thought it was a good idea to rip apart the single greatest figure in British naval history. And no, I'm not talking about the angry Bootneck, I'm talking about Lord Nelson. That's why for his service he was given a column, and for my 5 operational deployments I was given a train ticket and a sausage roll. Quick history lesson for those of you that don't know. The reason Nelson is so celebrated by anybody who knows anything and reads any long books is because Nelson won the Battle of Trafalgar, not just in stunning fashion, but also at the cost of his own life. It's like something from a fictional story. It's very Star Wars-esque. He went up against a numerically superior combined force of French and Spanish ships. Stacks of aggression, straight down the middle, mashed them, flattened them, and secured the seas for Britain for over a century. And totally secures our borders from invasion. I mean, it would have been difficult anyway, but it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that Napoleon could have then landed his Grand Armée in England and took over the whole country. And then imagine that. Australia, New Zealand, England, Canada, America. By God, they could all be speaking French. You're welcome. I would rather be a physically repulsive, blind, disabled half-wit than a Frenchman. So we did the whole free world a favour. Canada, America and everybody else should also put statues up of Lord Nelson. But anyway, that's why he's so revered. If you've never heard of the Battle of Trafalgar, I'm assuming most of my listeners have, because you're not ignorant half-wits, but the average Guardian reader or BBC journalist doesn't even know what the Battle of Trafalgar is, and they've never heard of Nelson. And then he got killed orchestrating the victory over the French and the Spanish, which resulted in probably the biggest state funeral ever. That's why Nelson's a big deal, and that's why, just like everything else that matters to people that care about history and tradition, the woke must destroy him, because they do not want you to be proud or happy. Easy. The story starts with a nice picture of him. This was painted shortly before he started spinning in his grave. Yeah, good likeness. Lord Nelson is berated by a migrant goddess in a new National Maritime Museum display. The naval hero's exploits have been reinterpreted in an exhibition at the Greenwich attraction. Reinterpreted, which means lied about. You can reinterpret Star Wars, but when you reinterpret real historical events, you're lying about them. I'll give you a clue. All of the founding fathers of the United States didn't look like the cast of The Cosby Show. That's just one example. Where labels stated it's time for admirals to move over to make room for the unsung heroes of the sea. Unsung heroes means people that achieved nothing and did nothing or got invented from nowhere, and the woke have decided they should be the heroes. But they can't outright bulldoze Nelson's column. Not quite yet, but they'll get to that in due course. They can't do that. So what they're going to do is they're going to invent a load of gobbledygook, commie gibberish, and come up with fictional deities to talk nonsense about great British heroes that literally gave their lives to preserve the nation. The statue of a godlike protector of all migrants has been placed next to a bust of Lord Nelson, and the invented deity berates the military leader in a new audio-visual display. The display states that the bravery and resilience of Nelson, who was killed during the Battle of Trafalgar, is also shared by others, including migrants who make sea crossings. People who break the law, criminals who purposely break the law, are more heroic than people who give their lives for their men and their nation, fighting a foreign enemy. And in line with other things these people think, 6-foot builder named Clive is a woman, yeah, and kids should be allowed to lop their own plums off because they're old enough to make those decisions. Oh yeah, and children can vote as well, because everybody knows children can vote. Why don't we just go the whole hog and legalise chain smoking Benson and Edges and getting sailors' tattoos on your forearms when you're 12? I mean, we might as well. Audio spoken by the migrant goddess disregards his fancy medals and uniform in recorded dialogue which plays when visitors press a button. This was in the day when you actually earned them. I could possibly understand people criticising them nowadays, where they're giving out chocolate medals like candy for doing nothing. You know, the Queen's Jubilee medal. Yeah, that's a pointless medal, isn't it? You just get them because you happen to be in the Territorial Army when the Queen has a birthday or something. But Nelson got his medals in an age where people frequently lost limbs, or in his case, eyes, fighting for the country. And then he took one in the chest and it severed his spinal column, and he slowly drowned on his own blood on dry land, suffering an agony for hours, only for some soft-skinned, sparrow-boned Guardian reader to disregard everything he ever did because they got told by some commie professor who's got a head full of horse shit that we can learn more from fictional deities than we can from real life. It is part of a broader display which includes a genderless character remonstrating with a naval captain. You knew that'd be in there, wouldn't you? Because it's got loads of relevance. You want to talk about the Battle of Trafalgar? No. I came to the Maritime Museum because I want to talk about cock. Of course I do. Isn't that why everybody goes to the Maritime Museum? Oh no, not me. I came to the Maritime Museum to learn about homosexual sex acts. Oh, sorry mate. Sorry. You want the National History Museum down the street? Yeah. What about me? I'm here to learn how to make a vegan nut cutlet. Yeah, you want to be at the British Museum. Oh no, you want to be at the National Railway Museum in York, mate. Yeah, that's where we teach about veganism. In the dialogue, Nelson's bust haughtily states, "Is there anything more glorious than fighting for your country? England expects it." Then the statue of the migrant goddess, depicted as a black woman. Yeah, because there was loads of them in 1805 as well, in England. Couldn't move for him in 1805. Think of this. There was hardly any black women in England in 1965, like less than 1% of the population. In 1965, how many do you think you'd bump into in 1805? I'll give you a clue. They were rarer than rocking horse shit. She then counters,
"You don't know the way."
Yes, I do.
Do you know the way?
I know the way.
You have to have Ebola to know the way.
I have Ebola.
It doesn't know the way.
To know the way,
To know the
you
way,
need to
you
have
have to know the
Ebola.
way. Do you want me to drink your blood? We are protected by the devil's power. In Zimbabwe, we do not have water.
oh, sorry, that was the wrong video. She counters, "Listen to me. You are not the only ones who have shown bravery and resilience at sea." I'm not doing the whole thing in the accent. Thankfully, I'm good at it because I've been reading BBC Pidgin for many years. It actually is better than the real BBC website. If you haven't checked out BBC Pidgin, go and check it out. It's brilliant. Here's a classic example of a headline. "Dem be Israel, eyes on the border, but dem no listen to dear warning about wetting Hamas they do." Yeah, brilliant. It's a fantastic use of the taxpayers' money. I will leave a link in the description for you. Many people are forced to make treacherous journeys escaping war. Or not. Or just, taking the piss. Or that. In fact, if you look at the numbers, I think the UN said 70% of the ones moving to Europe weren't escaping war and were economic migrants. Or that. But she didn't mention that. Weird. Weird how they don't put in, facts and figures and statistics. Let's go with fiction instead. Weird. In a museum. Yeah, strange. "My armour protect people from harm. I carry essential supplies and precious memories. I protect. What more important than that?" And there is the fictional deity which looks like something like a racist stereotype from a Nazi propaganda piece. Brilliant. Yeah, very, very liberal, that copying Hitler's artists when you want to make a statue. Brilliant. I love that. Very, very, very liberal. Very progressive. The worst, most comical stereotypes ever. Very progressive. I love that. The sea deity. Yeah, it doesn't exist. The museum also has the uniform he was shot in while aboard HMS Victory. But nobody wants to see that. They want to see some statue that some commie artist miracled out of her arse one day in 2023. That's what people are bothered about. That's important. The artwork is labelled Godlike Protector of All Migrants and stands in a semicircle of butts depicting Nelson, Pitt the Younger and Admiral Sir Charles Little, who was involved in the preparations for D-Day. There you go. That story should astound and offend you. I mean, it's rare I get offended, but lying constantly and sticking fictional deities alongside real people who died in real wars, fighting for everything we hold dear, that is offensive. Lying to children is offensive. Everyone seems to be alright with lying now, but I'm not, and I never will be. If you live near the Maritime Museum, go in and give them a piece of your mind. I'll be definitely popping in next time I go back to the UK, and I'll be having stern words with the ridiculous, overpaid activists masquerading as curators in one of the most famous museums in the UK. Alright, but let me know what you think. Am I making a mountain of a molehill? Should we just fill all the museums with fictional deities and stupid racist caricatures that some clueless twat dreamed up in 2023? Doesn't sound like a good idea to me. If you want to fill Marvel Comics with fictional, stereotypical deities, knock yourself out. But don't be sticking Spider-Man and Han Solo alongside Nelson or Isaac Newton or anybody else that's actually real and actually mattered, made a difference to the world. But that's just my 2 cents. If you disagree, let me know. Am I just being a fuddy-duddy? History's important. If you don't know it, they can tell you anything, can't they? Anyway, that'll do me for the day. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. See you all very soon. Toodle pip. Cheers.